guys, we've got a fun review today because we're talking about the fourth installment in the Jeepers Creepers franchise, Jeepers Creepers Reborn. We're already about halfway through September at this point, and we're full go when it comes to the horror films. Barbarian was great, Pearl was awesome. Of those, Jeepers Creepers Reborn was not one that I was particularly overly excited for. I did want to go support the film just because I was intrigued at the idea of what they could bring to the table now that Victor Salva is not involved with the franchise, especially after how terrible Jeepers Creepers 3 was. But the promotional material has not gripped me so far, the trailers and all that stuff, but I still want to talk about it because it is the horror movie season and I went to the first night of the Fathom event screenings they're doing. Jeepers Creepers Reborn follows a couple traveling to the Horror Hound Festival, but as the events approach, Lane begins to experience disturbing visions associated with the Creeper, believing that something supernatural has been summoned. With this new creative vision steering the franchise into the future, you can imagine my immense disappointment when this film was about on par, if not worse, than Jeepers Creepers 3. I mean, Jeepers Creepers 3 is the bottom of the barrel when it comes to the franchise for me personally. But man, does Jeepers Creepers Reborn give it a run for its money, lacking pretty much anything that makes up a passable horror film, and it's not even a type of horror film that's fun in a trashy sort of way. It is funny in an unintentional kind of way in some other aspects that I'll get to. At the film's core, there are glimpses of ideas that could have been decent if they were executed well, like having the Creeper pick off victims one by one at a horror festival and inside the spooky house sounds like a recipe for success to me, a very simple one, but it's bogged down by a lot of different things. A big factor is I think that they were a bit too overly ambitious with what they could probably do with the budget that was given to them. You can tell this was an extremely low budget horror film, mostly due to the fact that this festival that they're putting on is very low budget, very basic. I don't know why anyone would ever go to this festival to begin with. It looks pretty boring. The production value is lacking severely here, but the worst offender is the CGI. The CGI green screen in Jeepers Creepers Reborn, it's atrocious. I don't like to harp on bad CGI a whole lot, but it's extremely laughable just how goofy the CGI looks in here. Whether it's the CGI being used on the Creeper or the horrible CGI used for the backgrounds. There are so many scenes where these people are walking through what's supposed to be a cemetery or a forest, but it's really poorly done CGI and it ruins the entire experience. Now, I'm not anticipating an Oscar-winning script from the fourth Jeepers Creepers film, but even by modern horror standards, the script here is extremely messy. Our two leads just lack anything engaging for the audience to grasp upon with next to no characterization. I actually did quite like the boyfriend character Chase. I think if anyone deserves praise out of this cast, it would probably be him and Dee Wallace, even though Dee Wallace has absolutely nothing to do with the main story going on. She's in the opening of the film, she does a great job, but it has nothing to do with the rest of the movie. It's definitely not to the film's benefit that a large amount of the cast of characters here are relatively unknown, newer actors, and it does really show in their performances because overall, most of them are kind of bad, and I hate saying that, but they are. They're very bland, one-note generic characters that don't get a lot of characterization. One of them is like a snobby director kind of guy, one is supposed to be like a bimbo kind of character, and then there's like the southern stereotype that looks a lot like Mick Foley from the WWE. Nothing about them stands out. They're all just there to be potential victims for the Creeper. Speaking of the Creeper, when it was officially confirmed that Jonathan Breck was not returning to reprise the role as the Creeper in this film, I was a bit disappointed. Even though I didn't like the last Jeepers Creepers, he's still great as the character, and his presence here is sorely missed in Jeepers Creepers Reborn. I didn't completely hate this new characterization of the Creeper. I mean, I do think the Creeper's design in the film all around is quite atrocious looking, but I do think that this interpretation of the character is lacking a lot of what makes the character of the Creeper so intimidating and menacing. I mean, there are some fun moments here, I guess you could say, where he is tracking down these characters inside the house and killing them one by one, but it doesn't have the same feel to it. I think just because of the claustrophobic nature of this house, we don't really get to see the Creeper do all that much. I mean, he has wings, but he doesn't really ever use them in the film. I think that's kind of a budget kind of problem. That, and we don't get to see the Creeper really use his truck at all. He crashes it and we don't see it again for like the rest of the movie. One of the big horror cliches that I always hate when they inject it into a long-running franchise is the use of cults. We've seen it a lot in recent times. I think Wrong Turn was the most recent one I can think of. And then when you go way back, you could think of The Curse of Michael Myers, where they had the cult in that, the Cult of Thorn. The one here, I think it might be the worst excuse for having a cult injected into a franchise. To me, it felt like it was injected into the film for basically no reason, since the film never explains their significance. Like, why is our main character having all these weird premonitions? What even is the connections they're trying to make with these premonitions to the Creeper? Why is the film called Jeepers Creepers Reborn? All of that stuff leads to an extremely confusing ending involving these characters, and it made the entire experience even more frustrating to watch. Yeah, all in all, Jeepers Creepers Reborn is an absolute mess of a sequel. I don't know where we even could go in the franchise after this. I feel like this should be the final nail in the coffin for the franchise. We're kind of just have to bury the Creeper. I feel like we don't need any more stories with the character after this extremely messy sequel in the franchise. Maybe one day we'll have a creative team that'll bring back the Jeepers Creepers franchise in a successful way, but between this film and Jeepers Creepers 3, I think that we need to just leave the Creeper for maybe 23 years to be exact. But now you've heard my thoughts on Jeepers Creepers Reborn, make sure you share your thoughts down below. What did you think of the film if you've had a chance to check it out, whether it be tonight or any of the other nights of the Fathom Event screenings? Did you like the film? Did you not like the film? Are you a fan of this new direction they seem to be taking the Jeepers Creepers franchise? Because I think they were proposing a trilogy. I'm not sure how I feel about there being a follow-up entry, or at least 2 follow-up entries, but will remain to be seen what they'll do with the franchise after this installment. But either way, share all your thoughts down below in the comment section. Part of the fun is having that conversation with you guys in the comment section down below. As always, thank you guys so much for checking the reviews. I always do appreciate that. Make sure to leave a like on the video and also subscribe to the channel for your up-to-date reviews, reactions, unboxings, and more. Next time, I'll see you guys later.